everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show in which we find out how to look at somebody and assess them on the things we should assess them by, according to them, I guess. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday. Terrifying Thursday. Oh, it's been a day already for me, and I'm glad to have the mental respite, is that what this is, of a TEDXcellence with all of you. So I hope you are all well. And who are all of you? Well, I don't know, because by the title of this stream, I'm not quite sure how to assess someone. We'll get to that momentarily, but at least by the names I know you by. Jaeger Pony, hello. St. Michael, hello. Black Belt for Christ, hello. Mr. Joestar, hello. Death Dragon 100,000, hello. Zaubla, hello. Quinn the Cultist, hello. Dark Alile, hello. Brittany Holland, hello. Some Nation, hello. Johnny Hellcat, thank you so much. Lurking while setting up my new desk. I saw the picture of your new desk. Looks like a cool new desk. So congratulations on the new desk. Udo Werf, hello. And then chat jumped, because of course it does. Havoc Vladimirovich Stolanov, hello. John Smith, hello. Dina B, hello. Raziel, hello. Anthrax Allen, hello. Check Your Logic, hello. Attack Alpaca, hello. Keverdam, hello. That One Servant of Satania, hello. Corey Suzuki, hello. Cress Pierce, hello. Johnny Stoffel, hello. Megan Ring, hello. Lancelot 652, hello. Crimson Tiger, hello. Fernanda, hello. Brutus, hello. Nobody Important, hello. Brad Young, hello. Brian Has Opinions, formerly the Broken Baller, hello. Leo Prime 75, hello. Zach Osborne, hello. Juggernaut, hello. This is Kyle, thank you so much. Hello, chat people and scribbles. Hello, Kyle. The Pissed Off Shih Tzu, hello. Cannibalistic Wizard, hello. Green Death, hello. Lexi Mads, hello. Darren Thompson, hello. Eric Grunstatter, hello. Sabian 187, hello. The Other Choice, hello. Sassy Shelley, hello. And the gayest person on YouTube, hello. All right, everyone. So what are we in for today? Well, the title of this presentation is the very thing that caught my attention, because it asks a question and answers it in the same sentence, I guess. Are you a man or woman? I'm black. I mean, I don't know. There's just a certain level of inherent comedy to that title. But I don't know exactly what it means. I can guess, but guessing would just be guessing. So let's find out together. As usual, the link to the bingo card for the TEDXcellences is in the description. So get that ready and have your circles ready to circle. We'll see what we come up with as we proceed. As usual, I will start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it. And if so, we will start. This is not as short as our last TEDXcellence, but it's still relatively short in the realm of TEDXcellences. This presentation runs 10 minutes and 34 seconds. So I like succinct. I like concise. I also like Vercingetorix. Thank you so much. My professors tell me the least racist, sexist thing to do is to judge people by race and sex. Can brazen, quote, crying out in pain as they strike you, quote, unquote, projection be added to the bingo card? I don't know about that one. That's a bit abstract. And I'm trying to avoid as many abstractions as possible. You know, because the whole person should not be in their profession job square that we used to have. I always ended up dithering over that one, because it's like, well, I mean, how do you say, or if I don't know what they do to something that, I mean, it's trying to find things that are objectively observable. Right, in what is being said, and I'm cool with somebody saying everything that constitutes what's in a square without actually saying the words. You know, I'm willing to go that far, granted that it's substantive enough, irate Alex, to justify it. But crying out in pain as they strikes you. I mean, I might. I'm thinking maybe I put some kind abject mental distress or something as a square. I don't know. I will think about it. But that being said, guys, here's a few seconds. Tell me if you hear it, and we will proceed.
It's always interesting when you begin setting the stage for something.
It's always interesting when you begin setting the stage for something. And if I'm going to take that literally, you are setting the stage for centering blackness. If I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. Thank you. Oh, Jaeger Pony says good to go. Blah. John Smith says good. Green Death says good to go. Quinn the Cultist says good. Some Nation sounds good. And Anthrax Sound says good. All right. Here we go. Oh, before that, thank you, Dark Alile. I say add the square contradicts previous point. I mean, okay, if you can explain to me why weightless example, well, no, I guess that's not it. That's an interesting one. Like inherently contradicts oneself. I'll think about that one. That's not a bad one. Okay, I'll think about it.
It's one thing to say that all are welcomed, and it's another to say that I had you in mind.
It's one thing to say all are welcomed, and it's another to say I had you in mind. Well, if I have no barriers to who can join, why should I have to know the details of anybody who might show up? What does that mean? I'm thinking too hard about this, obviously.
So as you listen today,
I'm
speaking to Black people.
Oh, well, thanks everybody for coming. The show's over. No, what am I kidding? I'll pretend.
Because I had you in mind.
Oh, okay. So you don't actually want everyone there. You are discriminating by race. Okay. Interesting way to open a conversation. If this is a conversation. I don't think it is.
And if you begin to shift in your chair and you say, why did you say that?
Because you're a racial supremacist? Maybe.
Because so often we are talked at, we are talked about, and very rarely are we talked to.
Says the person standing on a stage that has no interaction with the people that she's talking to. Got it.
So I'm talking to you.
Are you though? Are you?
I'm talking to you deeper than the melanin that you have.
Well, if you say so, I guess it must be true.
Because there was once upon a time that your skin weighed more than gold.
Okay. Are we hearkening back to slavery then, I assume?
Your labor was worth more than gold.
Yes, slavery. Got it.
Some of you now travail, and you know that that labor has a price.
Some of you now travail. That labor has a price. Well, hopefully it's a paycheck.
And so I want you to remember your value. I want you to remember why.
Why what?
And I don't want you to walk away with that same look that you had when you sat down today.
Are you sure you're not talking at us right there?
So many times people have asked me,
are
you a man or a woman?
So many times. Well, I'm not inclined to circle anecdote that never happened yet. I could believe that. I could believe that.
I honestly feel like folks ask you that because they need to be able to assign a level of respect to you.
Or they're just trying to understand you. maybe it's not a value judgment. Maybe they're just seeking to understand. Maybe they're seeking to get to know you. I mean, you're making the assessment of their motives. So that would be mind reading assumes motives. So I'm circling free space, and mind reading assumes motives. Okay.
How much space do you get to take up?
Not necessarily. That's you. That's called projection.
How many times do you need to step back?
That's called projection.
So I'm constantly asked in spaces, what are you?
Uh-huh.
Now, I heard a brilliant sociologist say that when they're in rooms, they constantly are on.
When they're in rooms, they constantly are on. I mean, that reminds me of like, say, a comedian. Like everybody expects you to always be funny, that kind of thing, or an actor's. You know, if you're known as a profession, as some kind of entertainer, people maybe have some kind of anticipation that you'll always be doing your thing. Is that what you mean? That a sociology professor will always be a sociology professor, even in polite company?
A question was asked of them as the only woman in that space.
A question was asked of them as the only woman in that space. So not because she was a sociologist, but because she's a woman. So why'd you bring up the sociology part?
How do you feel about that?
How do you feel about what?
She laughed. That laugh that only Black people know. Huh.
That laugh that only Black people know. Oh, I cut her off, so let me back up a little bit.
She laughed. That laugh that only Black people know. Huh. Really?
Yes, I've only ever heard Black people respond to things in that way before, I guess.
And she said, I've never been the only woman in a room.
You've never been the only woman in a room. Well, until then, apparently.
The woman who posed the question was absolutely baffled.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait. Did I mishear the story here? The sociologist was the only woman in the room, or was she saying that the only woman in the room was asking the sociologist? I'm going to back up. I want to hear this story in full again, because I think I've missed something.
What are you?
Yes, okay.
Now, I heard a brilliant sociologist say that when they're in rooms, the sociologist
constantly
are on.
Uh-huh.
A question was asked of them as the only woman in that space.
A question was asked of them, the sociologist, as the only woman in that space.
How do you feel about that?
Uh-huh.
She laughed.
The sociologist, she laughed, okay.
That laugh that only Black people know. Huh, really? And she said, I've never been the only woman in a room.
You just said she was the only woman in that space. Okay, maybe I need a definition of space. What space are we talking about?
The woman who posed the question.
The woman who posed the question. So the sociologist, who is a woman, who is the only woman in that space, was posed a question by a woman about what, and she says, I've never been the only woman in the room. And what?
I was absolutely baffled.
I'm baffled, and I don't even know what the hell's going on.
She said, I've never been the only woman in a room because I don't have that luxury.
I don't have the luxury of being the only woman in the room. So being the only woman in the room is a luxury?
I've always been the only Black person in a room.
You've always been the only Black person. What about Christmas time? What about Thanksgiving? What? Okay. I don't know what to circle quite yet, guys. There's a lot of things I could say, but I want to have her finish this section thought. I don't know.
And for me, a light bulb went off.
Okay, do tell.
That my personhood absolutely means nothing.
Then get off the stage.
Because when I walk into a space, before you qualify me, you quantify my Blackness.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, all right. Word salad. Word salad, definitely. Let's go over this real quick. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I haven't heard anything new yet, or repeated mantra-like. Systemic institutional, not yet. Patriarchy, not yet. Plays victim, yes. I'd say that last statement alone is a plays victim scenario, especially the other things where she assumed the motives of others as to how they assess them. Wage gap, not yet. Childhood or family anecdote, no childhood or family anecdote. Anecdote that probably never happened. I'm not sure how to assess that whole sociologist story because it made absolutely no sense. So I don't know if I was misunderstanding what she meant by space or what. So I don't know how to assess that. I'll sit on that one for a while. Weightless example. She hasn't made an argument yet, so there hasn't been any examples presented to assess on that point. Privilege, not yet. White supremacy, not yet. A list, not yet. Toxic, no. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. I have a feeling I'll be circling that one by the end of this too, but I'm going to sit on that one. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Well, I mean, what she just said does account for unconscious bias, how you're assessing her Blackness or whatever. But again, I'm going to put a pin on that unless or until something more on point comes along. If it doesn't, by the end of this, I'm sure I'll circle it. Remind me. Leaves out vital context. I have a feeling we're going to get there. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I'll be surprised if she does. Benevolent condescension, we'll probably get there. Equity, not yet. Marginalized marginalization, not yet. Feminism, no. Takes credit for something done or experienced by others in their demographic. She brought up slavery, but she was talking to the audience, so not yet. Melodramatic pausing for effect. I have a feeling we'll find an example, but you never know. Thank you, Megan Ring. Is she suggesting that being Black is always the most important thing about her? Well, by the title alone, I might assume that to be true. But let's listen.
I go back to why that is so ingrained. Enslavement.
Okay.
Is its name. Understand we were never slaves because that actually absolves the person who came and took us.
You were never slaves because to classify slaves is to absolve the person who took you. By the way, you were never a slave. You have never been a slave, and you will never be a slave. So, yeah, she's associating herself with other people's experiences. So I'm circling takes credit or associating herself with other people's experiences. But even though I have already circled word salad, that last statement would be another circle.
It absolves them from knowing that I had a family, a language, a God, before they ever put a shackle on my neck.
You've never had a shackle on your neck. You have not experienced any of these things. What are you talking about?
I
No.
descended not from those who jumped into the water, but from those who stayed on the ship.
Well, those who jumped in the water, generally speaking, died. So you'd have a hard time descending from people who died. Yes, those who stayed on the ship. I'm not quite sure where we're going with this. Thank you, John Miller. Checkmate, racists. Wait, what? Yeah, I am befuddled.
So when I stand before you, I stand before you with the fury that only comes when somebody has taken everything from you and death is no longer a fear.
Who has taken what from you? And okay, you're very angry over things that didn't happen to you, but you wish to center yourself within for reasons. Okay.
That's where I come from. And that's what I draw from.
You draw from the tragedies and injustices done to people you've never known, never had anything to do with, and who were dead long before you were ever born. I mean, depending on the context, there may be some validity to that, depending on what you're doing with it and about it. But in this instance, I'm not sold.
Because before I enter a room, my blackness meets you.
Before you enter the room, your blackness meets me. What? Thank you, tall person. Hoy, all just got home from work and will watch in full later. Happy World Rock, Paper, Scissors Day, everybody. Oh boy, throwing chops. I love throwing chops. And thank you, Lamented Guide. If this whammon wants to know what slavery is actually like, she should take a trip to the Middle East where African slavery is still practiced. I always hear about people, oh, slavery. Like, well, if you really want to fight against slavery, you're in the wrong country. Or you're in the wrong part of the world. You'd have to go to the places where slavery is still commonplace. But anyway, apparently her blackness radiates out from her by several feet, that even before she shows up within the line of sight, everybody in a room knows that she's on her way because they meet her blackness before she enters a room.
They always ask you to blend in.
Who is they?
That's what they want.
Who is they? Just blend in, and they're pouring coffee. I'm not a coffee person. Is that a blend joke?
How do you blend? How is your personhood measured? But remember, I descended from people that you took their personhood from.
Well, wait. Okay, I have a thought. 1 second, though. Thank you, Tibby Simi. New square idea. Mentioning someone, quote, being the only person in a space, unquote. I don't know if that is common enough to make it to the card. It has to be something that comes up often. It can't be so specific that, I mean, that's like a phrase or something. I could see something like speaking as a ... Maybe that as a square. Or maybe, I don't know, like personal exceptionalism or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. It's not a bad idea. I'm just thinking about it. I'll think about it. But anyway, she's asking, how do you blend in when you took away... Didn't she say at the top of this that she's specifically speaking to black people? So is she accusing black people of having enslaved her? Or am I misremembering? And thank you, Corey Suzuki. You have a thought? No, I don't have that kind of thought. I don't.
It was taken from them when you put those shackles on their necks.
Are you still talking to the black people in the audience?
When you clasp their feet.
Who's you? Who's they? No one in that audience has clasped a collar around someone's neck or ankles. No one in that audience has traded in slaves. So far as that, I mean, she could be doing this speech in the Middle East. I missed out where it's taking place, but I have a feeling that no one in that audience has ever done any of the things you are saying now. So Are you talking to Black people in this presentation or what?
That was taken from them, so I can't blend. I don't blend.
So you don't want to get along with people. You want to always see yourself as separate. Separated by what again? Oh yeah, race. You are separating yourself from everyone else on the basis of race, both the assumptions you make about other people's perspectives and your projections upon yourself and them over your assumed perspectives. Okay.
There is a lyricist named Heavy D.
Okay, Heavy D. All right. Thank you, Kingslayer Damocles. Maybe she's talking to Obama. I guess he qualifies as the approved audience for her talk, given her, restrictions at the beginning. Okay. Lyricist, Heavy D. Some emulation says lyricist equals rapper. I'm fine with either way.
It says.
That says there's a lyricist named Heavy D that says. That's okay.
Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the type of girl I need down on my team.
So Heavy D wants a pure blood Black woman down on my team. Okay, I mean, whatever. Everybody has their preferences. Fine. And you're smiling about this? Why? What's that got to do with anything?
It wasn't just talking about the melanin in her skin.
Yes, it was. Yes, in fact, it was. Everything about that lyric is talking about race and skin color and melanin. What?
Or the beauty that she possessed. It was telling her, I want you to have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to be unapologetic.
No, it didn't. No, I have a feeling our speaker could read between the lines of a cookbook. No, he's saying he likes Black women. And if I might at least entertain or be humored in extending his analogy a little bit, he likes Black women on his team. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Wow. Okay. Backing up just slightly because I was cutting her off.
Audacity.
Mm-hmm.
The unmitigated gall to be unapologetic in who you are. No, that was not, that's not what he was. Well, okay. All right. Let me back up slightly. Not knowing the context of that lyric, not knowing what was said before or after or the name of the song or anything else, maybe she's right. I can't say for certain. But given that the only example she gave us in the context that she gave it, that lyric doesn't say anything about being who you are. It says that the person wants a woman who is not mixed race. That's what that was saying. I'm happy to be given context elsewise, but I'm only going off of what the speaker has given us. And what the speaker has given us doesn't say anything about that. But then we've seen already that our speaker really likes to project her own thoughts onto other abstractions and people. So maybe it's not surprising. That's where I descend.
What?
And that's where I draw my power.
You draw your power from being unapologetic. Okay. Well, you used a very bizarre example of how that leads from one to the other, but I'm inclined to actually circle weightless example as to how that rap lyric somehow justifies your personal philosophy. Thank you. This is Kyle. I'm sure she could read through the lines of a blank page. This is what happens when you view the world through an ideological lens. Yeah. I mean, to this point, none of her conclusions or passionate statements have made any sense on the basis of any of the preamble she's given. So, you know what? I might be proven elsewise. I'm going to circle weightless example. That rap lyric does not in any way back up what she followed it with at all. Now, again, if there's more to that song, if there's more context to what that song was saying that would say otherwise, okay, I'll take it back. Certainly I will. But no, not in the way that she presented it. Now, thank you, Frosted Glass. Have the gall to have a big butt, Sir Mix-a-Lot. Unapologetically, yeah. All right. Oh boy, I got sirens all over the place. Children of the day, what music they make. No? Okay.
So many times when I'm sitting in rooms with Black folks, I sometimes have to step back and say, I don't have a right to name who I am.
What? I got a feeling I'm going to be saying that a lot going forward. When you're in a room full of Black folks, you don't have a right to say who you are. Okay, why?
Because my people are still fighting to be known as a man. In the 60s, we held signs that said, I am a man.
You didn't hold signs in the 60s. What do you mean we? Why do you continually take credit for and or victim points from people you never had anything to do with?
Treat me as such. But what they were really screaming is, I'm human. See me as such.
And the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the subsequent additions to that framework were our society's attempt to address and redress the sins of the past. And so there was an effect. That had an effect. The actions taken by those people in the past, not you, had that effect. The activists, the demonstrators, the people that put their lives on the line back in the 60s, they did that. They succeeded. You didn't do any of that. Why are you stealing their success from them?
So when I sit in rooms that are Black designated, my queerness has to stay out the door.
What? Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I can't intrude on what is needed.
Oh, well, golly, you are so kind and thoughtful not to have the power of your intrusion interrupt Black designated rooms. Do you work for an affinity school by any chance? Or a school that practices affinity groups? Is that what that is?
I don't want to silence my people anymore. So my queer identity stays, my trans identity stays at the door.
Because your queer and trans identities are more powerful than someone else's skin color? Or what?
But where I can go, when I walk into those rooms and my queer and trans identity are encapsulated, my Blackness then has to stay at the door. So I choose how I show up.
Okay, you guys can't see my face right now, obviously, but quite literally, in that last portion I listened to there and played, my mouth is hanging open slightly because I am absolutely flabbergasted as to what is she talking about. Her queer and trans identities have to stay at the door unless she's in a space that encapsulates. Okay, so talking about your queer or trans self doesn't make sense amongst black people unless you're at a Black Lives Matter rally? Or I don't even know.
I choose what battle I fight.
Uh-huh.
And even though Heavy D told me not to blend,
what?
I do.
Do you know him personally? Granted that Heavy D is a man, I don't know, but or do you just listen to the lyrics and imagine that they're talking to you? Thank you, Johnny Stoffel. This speaker got turned around, was headed for a slam poetry open mic. I don't know what we're doing or where we are right now. I don't even know that she has offered up a thesis statement of a kind. I just don't know.
So I had to go back home.
Okay.
I had to go back to what I know. I had to find before enslavement who I was.
Okay, now, all right. Let me back up a little bit. All right. I do not know our speaker's personal history. I do not know where our speaker originally came from. Perhaps she came from a country prior to, I'm assuming she's in America now, at least in this talk. Maybe she did grow up in some situation of slave. I don't know. I have no idea. She hasn't said so. She's talked in abstractions. She's referenced the distant past. She didn't say, like, my family grew up in country whatever, and in that country my family was enslaved. She hasn't said that, so I can only go off of what she's told us. And so far, it doesn't sound like she has been a slave. It sounds like she's referencing historical events and connecting herself to those historical events simply on the basis of skin color. But until she gives us some more information, I'm just adrift. I don't know what to tell you. P-Dog Knight, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much. Heavy D is an 80s, early 90s rapper. Now, I recognize the name. I just, I was just trying to figure out the context. Yeah, okay, all right. So she went home. Home, what is home? Tell us something of your family origins. Like, I need a reference point here.
And I went home to these people called the Gala people.
Okay.
Of the Sea Islands of South Carolina.
What? Thank you, Gear PG, so much for the Dogcat Fox who is lying on the floor and laughing his ass off, because I think that's probably what Dogcat Fox is doing right now. He's rolling on the floor going, wowie, wow, wow, wowie, wow, wow, at all of this, whatever it is. And thank you, Tibby Simi. She believes WAP is a power anthem. Oh, boy. Okay, so you went to the far-off lands of South Carolina? What? Okay, I don't know the history of South Carolina. Maybe she'll tell us here. I don't know.
Of Georgia.
What?
North Carolina.
What?
Those people who were taken from Sierra Leone, what? Senegal, Gambia, Madagascar.
So you didn't go to Senegal, Gambia, and Madagascar. You went to South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia. Okay.
And put on an island and made to work. You see where I come from.
Where do you come from? I mean, you're the one bringing this up. This is not some kind of microaggression. This is something where I need a reference point. Where are you coming from that any of what you've said so far makes any sense? Where do you come from? You brought it up. You opened the door. Please tell us where you come from. So I'm trying to understand. I really am.
They don't use she or he.
Where you come from, they don't use she or he. Okay, where do you come from?
When they talk about somebody, they say, "E say that, im do that."
E say that, im do that. Okay. Where do you come from? And I don't. Okay.
Say he? Why now?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I come from folks that they don't say they. They say, boy ain't never been gendered to us.
Really? Do you often say that now? If somebody said that to you, what would you say? I wonder.
I come from those people, so I had to go back home and hear what I needed to hear, that gullah speak.
You went back home to South Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia. So you're from the East Coast of the United States? I don't know what she's talking about.
That land that is soaked in tears, that land that is soaked in blood, that land that is soaked in resistance.
Okay, I'm circling leaves out vital context because it is vital to know where she's coming from, literally and figuratively, to understand what she's talking about, or at least attempt to. Now, if she goes into some story here soon talking about her family origins or her youth or something, I'll take it back. But so far, in all of this, she's talked about her descendants, her being descended from people going home, etc., where I come from, etc., etc. We don't know where that is. I don't know what that is. I need to know that to be able to have any kind of point of reference here. So, yeah, leaving out vital context.
I had to go home to find out who I am. I had to go back and find out my mother tongue.
You had to go back home to find your mother tongue. Well, if you didn't already have your mother tongue before you left, how could you go back to find it? What?
That tongue that they took from me.
Who is they?
Because they needed for me to speak standard English.
Who is they? And if they took it from you, how are you talking in that tongue now? What?
When I spoke to them.
Okay.
I don't claim that tongue.
What?
It's like claiming borrowed clothes.
What?
It ain't mine.
But you just said your mother tongue. How can you not claim it with what?
And I refuse to keep wearing somebody else's garment.
But you're speaking in standard English right now.
I had to go back home to my culture because, again...
What is your culture? What is your home? Where do you come from? What are you talking about? Come on. This is...
Enslavement took away
it didn't.
My ability
it didn't.
To know certain things about my culture.
No, it didn't. You've never been a slave. You have never been a slave. Your culture is what you're brought up in. You going, quote unquote, back home to try to assume the culture of a time period and of a people that you are never a part of, either in history or in reality, is not you going anywhere, but trying to borrow an identity that you never possessed. As far as I know, because you're not telling us anything about your origins, which you keep bringing up, but you never specify. And what does any of this have to do with anything? I thought we were talking about how people see you and evaluate you first and foremost without even knowing you because of the color of your skin. Jeez.
That my culture always had trans identity.
What? It did? Which culture is that? Because pronouns were ambiguous in the language that you're citing from somewhere, therefore trans identity. What? Oh, God.
This ain't new. That my culture always respected non-binary entities.
Really? Okay, so why are you having to convince us of this? I mean, if that is true, first off, what culture are you talking about? Specifically, what culture? From what part of the world? Hell, I'll even take from what time period and part of the world, if that's more specific. What culture already had these things? Why do you need to convince us of this? That's the second question. Specify what you're talking about insofar as your origins, culturally, familially, or whatever. But then also tell us, why does it matter that we know that your culture always accepted these things? Are you saying that your culture, whatever your culture is therefore superior to the rest of cultures because they were more inclusive back then or something, unlike today, where obviously in our culture today, being trans or queer is an immediate scarlet letter now? Today? John Miller, thank you so much. Here, root scribe, she has to find her root scribe. She has to find her roots. And in other bullpucky, she deserves a nickname of Rambler. I'm trying really hard, guys. I'm trying really hard. I don't want to insert assumptions into what she's saying, but she's getting to a point where unless she gets specific, I don't know how to assess anything that she's saying. It's got nothing to do with her skin color. It's got everything to do with what she's saying, and can I quantify it by its content? Imagine that. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. Someone call 911. Scribe's going to stroke out. I tell you, this is... See, how did Christopher Hitchens put it very, very bluntly? You know, we are all pattern-seeking mammals, right? We are pattern-seeking mammals, us human beings. My brain tries very hard to find the pattern, to put the pieces together, even if I have to make certain assumptions in order to have a contiguous train of logic. But when there are giant gaps that even my imagination cannot bridge, I derail. And man, oh man, this is a tough trip across the country. I tell you what.
This ain't new. But they told me that this was a new thing. And therefore, when I walked into certain spaces, I didn't think all of me could be. But you forget, Blackness is the encompassment of all.
Really? Blackness is the encompassment of all. So even though you have a queer identity, even though you have a trans identity, those are subservient by nature to your Black identity. Which is why in a Black room, as she put it, or a Black designated space, I think it was, you cannot show off or be or whatever your queer or trans identities because the Blackness is too overpowering. I'm trying to understand the rules of the game here. I really am.
So when I stand, I stand whole.
Do you, though? You said you didn't, because in the room that you're in, you have to leave certain parts of you at the door. So are you whole in all instances or not? Because, oh boy. You know, that whole contradicts previous point thing is looking real good right about now.
Because home always been Black.
What?
It's always been rich in that. It's always been loved. Always.
Home is Blackness. Okay. For you, you're very focused on a purity of skin color population. Okay.
And I forgot it.
You did?
And so I reclaim it.
You did?
And I stand on it.
I thought you're standing on a big red circle. Whoa. Okay. I didn't cut that. These slides are proceeding as you see them proceed, just for reference. I'm backing up a little bit because that went really by real quick. Home is blackness.
Always. And I forgot it.
Uh-huh.
And so I reclaim it.
Uh-huh.
And I stand on it.
Uh-huh. Dear heart, come home. Okay, she jumped real quick.
I intersect in my blackness.
What?
And I have always been. So when they ask, are you a man or a woman?
Who is they? I'm not sure I believe you anymore.
I can confidently say I'm black.
That's okay. So yes, you can confidently say you're black. That is an unambiguous declaration. I will grant you that. I will grant you that. You can confidently answer that you're black. It doesn't answer the question that was posed to you, but there's certainly no one who's going to be able to argue with you on that point. I grant you that one. But a non sequitur that is unarguable does not answer the question posed. Now, that's not to say you owe anyone a response to any question posed to you about your identity. You don't have to answer anything you want. That's fine. I don't care. But what are you're not making any sense. You're not making any sense.
Because blackness is who I am.
So you're a racial identitarian. Great. I've never seen that before.
It is what I represent.
You do not represent anyone but yourself, and you certainly do not represent an entire demographic of people across the planet. Hate to bring you down a notch or five, but that's the way it is.
It is the fire that you hear.
No, that's all you. That's not your skin color. Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot. You are your skin color. My mistake.
It is the resiliency that you want.
It is. Look, if the definition of resiliency is to define myself by my skin color, you can have it.
Oppression ain't never been mine.
Really? Really? Oppression? Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but didn't she just spend the last 10 minutes telling us about how she's been enslaved, she's been in chains, she's had everything stolen from her, her culture, her mother tongue, everything? Did I misunderstand what she just said? I'm going to back up again. Sorry, guys. I want to make sure.
It's the fire that you hear. It is the resiliency that you want.
Uh-huh.
Oppression ain't never been mine. And
oppression ain't never been your what? Oppression ain't never been the resiliency you want? I'm trying, guys. I really am.
That you want.
Yeah.
Oppression ain't never been mine. And I don't claim it no more.
You don't claim oppression anymore. Then what was the last 9 minutes and 31 seconds, might I ask?
So I look to each and every one of you.
No, you don't. You said you're talking only to the black people. Unless that entire audience is black people, I guess, but I can't tell.
Who stand with me? Who are you? Who do you stand with?
I don't stand with racial identitarians, that's for damn sure. Thank you, Lady Gopher, for the Dogcat Fox. Big smiley Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox. You help make these things tolerable. And so do you, everyone. Dogcat Fox is not alone in the salve to that wound.
Do you see me as whole?
I don't know how to see you. I see you as a person who seems very, very angry and very, very conflicted about your own identity. And you're very confrontational, and you make some grand assumptions about other people, laying upon them a template of horribleness so that you can feel justified in your anger. That's how I see you. And none of that has anything to do with your skin color or your appearance. It has everything to do with your attitude, your words, your declarations, and so on. And I have seen these very same things. Those words and thoughts could be coming out of a completely different body with a completely different skin color, and I'd make the same assessment. Because it's the content of character that matters. Truly.
Do you accept what I bring to the table?
No. I listen to and attempt to understand what you're bringing to the table. Accepting it is a whole other ballgame.
Because dear hearts.
Dear hearts? After everything else you've just said, that comes across a little condescending.
You gotta go home. Home ain't never had no walls. Home ain't never had no chair. Home always been in here. Because when they took you away, they thought they took something from you, but you took it with you. And I asked you to stand on it. I speak to you. I speak into you. I dare you. Come home, child. Come home. Come home where you're safe. Come home where you're accepted. Come home to your blackness. I shall.
Thank you, Lancelot 652. No, I don't see her as whole. Seems a lot is missing in her head. I don't know. I don't know how to assess most of any of that. And I tried really hard. I think anybody listening to this can at least extend to me the credit that I tried. I really did try. Okay, let's go to the bingo card. Let me actually bring that up so you guys can see it as we go and see where we're at and where we might go from here. There's that, and there we are. Okay, it doesn't cut it off too badly. All right, so guys, what do we have left to do? Attempt to coin new buzzword buzz phrase. Excuse me. I didn't hear a buzzword buzz phrase in there. Not really. Thank you, Udo Worth, for the dazed emoji. I empathize. Boy, do I empathize. Okay, systemic institutional. She never said the words, and honestly, I'm having a hard time even extrapolating from things she said to justify it. Patriarchy, no, she didn't really talk about... I mean, she talked a little bit about gender roles or weight of gender early on, but not enough that I'd say patriarchy qualifies. Wage gap, she never got into economics. Well, I mean, she talked about like what you paid for your labor, but that wasn't wage gap. Childhood or family anecdote. I don't know. Does any of what she said qualify as a family anecdote? Because she never gave us any specificity of what she was talking about as far as her origins or her family line or anything else. So, and it wasn't an anecdote. I mean, it was a reference, but she didn't say like, you know, when I was a child, etc. That never came up. Anecdote that probably never happened. Okay, the sociologist being asked whatever she was asked, I have a hard time assessing whether that is or is not a true story because it was so amorphous. Her being asked, are you male or female? I can't say that that's never happened to her, so I can't do that. And honestly, she didn't bring up many anecdotes at all. Those are the only two that I can think of. So I'll take arguments otherwise, but I'm leaving it blank for now. Privilege, no. White supremacy, she didn't really talk too much about white people or say the phrase. I mean, again, you could imply it. You could, like, say, read between the lines a bit there, but No. A list. She never made a list of anything. Toxic. No, she never said it. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. I mean, she made a lot of things about race that didn't seem to qualify for anything because it was such word salad all over the place. So you know what? Just on the balance of how many times she brought up race but never specified what the heck she was talking about, it's kind of like goes along with word salad, but I'm gonna circle that one. So microaggressions, unconscious bias. Her constant telling the audience what other people think, what their assumptions are about her, etc. That's unconscious bias. I'm circling that one. Self-vilification or wretchedness. One could say that her saying, I have to leave these parts of me at the door when I'm in a room full of other Black people because they're not appreciated, etc. You might call that self-vilification or wretchedness, but it sounded more like I'm doing them a favor by not trying to intrude on their space kind of thing because those parts of me are so overwhelming. And that seemed, if anything else, it sounded like a humble brag after a fashion. Benevolent condescension. Talking to people on the basis that they don't know how to assess themselves or others, that she has some inherent wisdom to what it means to be Black, or that all Black people need to do this, or that she represents this, etc. That's, I'm circling benevolent condescension. Equity, she never brought up the word. Marginalized, marginalization. Now, just like last time, it would be an easy thing to just circle that, call it a bingo, and move on. But she never used the words, and I'm having a hard time even saying that most of what she was talking about could equate to it. I'll take arguments, but I'm not inclined to circle it. Feminism, no. And melodramatic pausing for effect. There was a lot of melodrama here. So I'm going to circle that one just on balance of that. So let me refresh the page there. So that's what we're looking at right now, guys. I don't see a bingo. Like I said, I might be convinced for a square or two, but it's that marginalized one that's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough hill to pull me over. So what do you guys think? Let's see. Zalblus, described like she's spoken broken anecdotes. I believe none of them. I need a full anecdote that I can assess. Just random comments or offhanded phrases and things. I don't have any way of saying, does that make sense? Does that sound reasonable? I guess it's the advantage of not being specific. I can't make a informed decision on those things. So let's see. Gear PG, must be difficult living in this constant hyper awareness of everything that sets you apart from other people. That's the question I always ask of people who profess to either, people who like self-retchify who they are on the basis of what they are, whether it's man and toxic masculinity, or someone who believes in white privilege and is very apologetic of that, or someone who thinks that race X is greater or lesser than all others, or whatever. Trying to game out what it must be like for someone who professes that perspective to actually move through the world employing those thoughts in everyday life, how that must work, or what difficulties they must encounter walking around, interacting with other people, or having themselves interact with the world if they believe that to be true. It's a very, very difficult mind game to play. The Demon Man's 57, Scribelight, idea for bingo card squares. Speaker gives you confused Tucker Carlson face. Yeah, that might be too low a bar for most TEDx's. Assassin the Grey, Scribelight, you see how Darth Vader is dressed in all black? That is clearly evidence of the insert racial, ethnic power struggle, sex crime trope here. Well, that reminds me of that little Star Wars speech from Chasing Amy. And if you haven't seen that, look up the Star Wars speech from Chasing Amy. It's hilarious. Lancelot 652, Scribelight, self-villainy because she had to use the borrowed language. I don't know. when she kept recriminating herself, sort of, for going after somebody else, is that vilification, you think? I don't know. Still wouldn't get us a bingo, but I don't know. It's not a bad argument, I guess. TEDXcellence, I'm going to say she was an escaped mental patient that wandered in the red circle in the organized round. I have no idea who our speaker is, what she does, anything. I just, like I said, the title caught my attention. Frosted Glass, hey Scribe, are you free tonight after Lawton? We have a guest slot open on the corner. I'm okay. So I was going to save this for later. I've had quite a day today, guys. I had to go to the hospital this morning. I'm fine. Let me clarify. I'm fine. I didn't know whether I was fine or not before I went to the hospital, but I'm fine now. But it has been a very draining day. I might not even do Lords of the Night tonight. I'm still debating that because I'm a bit worn out from the stress, if nothing else. And actually doing the TEDx was kind of my stress relief for after everything that happened this morning. The specifics are I've been having stomach troubles for about a week and a half now. I didn't know the source of them. My imagination ran wild with what it could be. And today I woke up and something seemed much worse than it had been the last several days. So I had my sister take me to urgent care because, I don't drive. And had all the tests done and CT scan and everything's fine. The source of the pain, they don't know, but it's not caused by anything that is, serious and or fatal. So that's a big weight off my mind. But regardless, the whole process, all the stuff that happens in a hospital, it's been a very draining day. And then I had to come home and finish up my work for the day. I'm not laying this on you as some kind of pity party or anything. I'm just explaining why that I might have to decline. That's all. That's a long way of saying I may have to decline. Let's see. Jason Powell, what's a Nubian? Yeah. What's a Nubian? But isn't that true? Okay, anyway. Zalbla, Scribelight, I'm glad you are okay. It is still no fun to have to go to the urgent care. Yeah, no, it was no fun. And it was a last resort kind of thing. I'd staved it off long enough. I tried to make an appointment for other things so it wasn't as invasive. But this morning, something just felt really off. And thankfully, everything's fine. So rumor control here. Everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm just very beat today. So I might bow out from Lords of the Night. And even if I don't, I know I'm going to be beat by the time I'm done with because I got to be up really early tomorrow for building stuff. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep babbling on about it. I just don't want to make it seem like I'm ducking out on you, Frosted. On any other day, I'd probably be able to do it, and I probably feel like I had the energy. But weekdays are tough. Fridays or weekends are far easier for me to make a call on that. Anyway. Moving on. Let's see. Tibby Simi, Scribelight, she was just being disingenuous when referring non-black people. She was just having the audience create the villain. Well, I mean, she was vilifying part of her audience by saying, I'm not talking to you. But then she turned around and told the audience that they were responsible for slavery or something. Thank you, Megan Ring. Here's another 5 for coming home after all that and listening to this. No, okay, I really do appreciate it. I appreciate the generosity. I really do. I'm fine, really, guys. I really do. Yeah. Okay. Let's set it aside. Everything's fine. Whew. Okay. Frosted Glass, not a big deal. Hope you feel better soon. Doors always open. Future streams. Like I say, catch me on another night. Really, this is just bad timing tonight. Bad timing tonight. What is the next time you guys? I'm sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head. What's the next time you guys have your show, or what's the next day you have it? And I will do my best to drop in. I don't mean to dodge it. Brad Young, take a night to relax. Scribe. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it. We'll see. We'll see how I feel nearer to the show. It's just I'm still coming down from everything prior to all this. Let's see. Anna Lynn, why didn't she pick an accent? Honestly, I'm not an accent virtuoso, so I don't know. And she never told us what is the origin or culture of her family. I don't know. She never said. She said South Carolina. So I don't know the history of South Carolina and slavery or what peoples came there specific. I don't know. I mean, my ears thought they heard sort of a patois maybe in there a little bit, some Jamaican, but I can't tell. I don't know. Thank you, John Miller. 2 bits for whatever. Glad you're doing better. Thank you, John. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Frosted Glass. Skylight. Typically Thursday after Lawton, we could probably arrange a weekend stream sometime if you're interested. Don't go out of your way for me. Tell you what, Frosted, hit me up. Remind me next Wednesday. Okay. Touch base with me next Wednesday, and I will make time Thursday after the show. Okay. I will do that. Barring some unforeseen catastrophe or something, obviously, but I will make time for the show. Can't promise I'll stay on for long because it's always a work night, but I will make the time. Let's see. Some ammunition. Okay, obviously skipping me. Got it. I'm not obviously skipping anybody. Okay, I'm scrolling up some ammunition. I'm scrolling up. Where are you last, some ammunition? I don't see you. I don't. What did you say? Say it again. Please say it again. Maybe I missed it. Let's see. Annalyn, Scribelight. She bounced from Nigeria, Jamaican, and non-regional American. Maybe she meant to talk in an abstraction like that. Maybe she's just talking about the cultures that died off because of slavery in general. If that's what she was going for, if she was trying to represent some sort of like high level notion of pre-slavery cultures that got winnowed away by American slavery, I didn't get that from the talk. If that's what she was aiming for, even though I guess she did say that she represented all of blackness or something. Let's see. Frosted Glass. Scribe, as long as you don't mind streaming with next week's other guest, goes by the name of Ranting Monkey. Oh, God. Him again? I guess. I mean, if you only have on one guest at a time kind of thing, I don't want to step on his toes because, he'd fall down the stairs a lot easier. But that's up to you. You let me know. If there's a Thursday night that works for you better, just let me know ahead of time. I'm waiting for some emulation to come back. It's sort of like Peter Silak Hades 313. It's like now I have to get whatever some emulation said. Now it's a quest to do that before I wrap up. Let's see. Prosaic Dreams in Blue. It sounded like it was part of the Ahola culture. Oh, you got me. Some emulation. Maybe I'm being blocked. I don't know. The last thing I saw you said. Okay, let me switch to top chat real quick and see if that changes something. Megan Ring, no. Zalbla, no. Okay, I'm scrolling up and I get to the top of my scroll and I don't see anything from you, some emulation. I honestly don't see anything. Maybe you're getting blocked. I have no idea. The last thing I see from you, as far as the last thing I see on the list from you, the first thing I see on this list is okay, obviously skipping me. So whatever happened. All right, some emulation. She was being marginalized in black spaces by being. Oh, that's good. Okay, can I get a second on that one? Because that's a good one. That's a good call. I kind of like that. You guys think that counts? It is an abstraction from it, but that, yeah. Okay, you know what? Some emulation, you got me. That and not just because that is a good call. All right, guys. Thanks to some emulation and a very good argument, guess what we have? We have a bingo. We have a bingo! Bingo. Oh my gosh. Very good. Thank you, Somnambulation. That was a good argument. I like that. That was very good. Whew. I am glad to end on that. I tell you what, that feels good. In context with everything else, or I should say in conjunction with everything else, that feels really good. And you know what? I think that's a good point to wrap this up, guys. So, sorry about accusing you. No. Look, this has been happening lately. Like, people's comments on my videos will get zapped. Like, I'll get a notification that the comment exists, and I'll go to reply to it, or at least thumbs it up or something, and it's gone. And I'm thinking, why is YouTube zapping comments? And then somebody suggested, oh, maybe they deleted the comment themselves. I'm like, well, maybe, but I don't have any way of telling. And there's a whole tab. If you guys, for those of you that run your own channels, there's a whole tab on comments that says comments held for review, because YouTube has some filters for things that may or may not be, things you want to have on your feed. And if something falls into that category, I would assume it'd fall into that tab. But sometimes it just disappears and it's YouTube zapping them. And just as a point of order for future reference, as best as I can, I don't ignore people. I mean, in the course of a chat, if things are moving fast or it gets lost in the weeds, maybe I miss something, and that's just human. 2, I don't ban people from the chat unless somebody's either a spammer or doing something else really hinky. And 3, I never delete comments unless it's something that is either obviously a bot or I don't know, something. I can't imagine what the other instance would be. It'd have to be something that's completely out of the ordinary. Maybe spam. Maybe somebody putting something in there that's not a bot, but like some kind of ASCII art or something. Maybe something like that. But I am a free speech defender here. Short of something either call to action or illegal taking place, I don't delete or block anybody. So just as a point of reference for the future, and as best as I can, I don't ignore people. So if I haven't responded to something you've said like twice before, please just give me another chance. Or like Somnambulation discovered here, sometimes maybe the words you're using are just being filtered by YouTube against my wishes. I have no filtered keywords on my YouTube. Okay, so there's nothing that I have elected needs to be censored at this point. I don't know if it'll come a time where I have to, but not at this point. So anyway, guys, that all being said, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a bit of a quagmire, a mental quagmire to move through, and you guys made it easier, especially by the end. And many thanks to Somnambulation for that great argument. Very good. We have a bingo. Good show. So everyone, thank you again for joining me. Thank you for your attendance, your participation, and most especially, thank you for your generosity. And thank you so much for your well wishes. I really do appreciate it. If you would like to hear more from Ranting Monkey and Satsu 2 Cents and possibly me, at least tonight, I'm still not sure yet, but either way, if you'd like to hear more from the minds that have brought you things such as you've watched here, so to speak, you can find us, generally speaking, tonight on Satsu 2 Cents' channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern for the Lords of the Night, where we will talk about the news of the day, news stories you submit, what we've been up to on the intertubes, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, I hope you are all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. Bingo, bingo, bingo. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.